Hi, good evening. Okay, so tonight we're going to cook a nice cabbage soup with lima beans. It's an extremely delicious dish when you're very, very hungry, and you don't need to have much in your fridge. So here I have a bag of dried lima beans. Baby lima beans. The regular lima beans are too big, in my opinion. And just to give you an idea, there's only lima beans in here, and it says for 1/4 cup of this, you'll have 8 grams of protein in a 1/4 cup. So that gives you an idea. It's a high protein soup. The other thing I have is here I have a 1/4 of a medium-sized cabbage. One of the reasons I love cabbage is because it doesn't go bad quickly. So, I had it wrapped in plastic in the fridge, and I'm just going to shave off some of the dark parts and cut it up for this soup. A medium-sized onion. I happen to love onions, so I use a lot. Here's a can of diced tomatoes, diced petite tomatoes. You can use any kind of tomatoes you like. You can like whole tomatoes and mash it up, tomato sauce if you like. But again, if you're coming home late at night, it's 7:45. I started the film at 7:45. I want to be eating pretty quickly, and I want to eat well. So this was in my cupboard, and the only other things that go in it is thyme, T-H-Y-M-E, plain old thyme. There's nothing else in here. Salt, some hot red chilies, which I love. I stuck it in a jar. This is not a brand of any type. And oil. At the end, I happen to like to use lemon juice for a little spritzer upper. But as with all lentil or bean soups, you soften the bean first, and then at the end you add the ingredients that have sourness in it. So this and the tomato have sourness. I can't think of the word right now, but you put that in later because otherwise it toughens the skin, so it makes it feel like it's not cooked. I'm going to rush along. I'm going to only use a half of a bag, and so this is 16 ounce. So I will just use half of a bag, which makes it 8 ounce. So if we have this, if we eat the whole soup, one person eats this whole soup, they'll have 16 grams of protein. If a 1/4 cup of this, if you recall, had 8 grams of protein, so you'll get an idea of how much protein you're getting. And I'm just going to twist this up for later, for another time. I have to rinse my beans. I'm first going to look at it for stones. And I've covered this elsewhere on the website, but you should eyeball these things. Lima beans don't have that problem so much. And I'm just going to rinse them a few times. I'm going to get this on high, get this going, because we're hungry. As you can see, the water's really clear, so there's not a whole lot that we need to wash. You see how clear the water is. And there's one lima bean there that's a little funny, so I'll just take that out. I've put this on high. This is our pressure cooker. As I've said over and over, to be a vegan or vegetarian, you really have to master the pressure cooker. There's no other way about it. It's an extremely fast way to eat, and once you've mastered it, you really won't want to do without it. Again, I've put it in with not too much water. I don't want it to burn to the bottom, but as you'll see, as it comes under pressure and as it boils, it forces its way up through here in the form of steam. If the water's too high, then the water boils up, and after steam, it spills a lot of water. No big deal. The lima beans are still cooking, but it just makes it a little easier. And with time, you'll get to know these things. So I turn that on at about 750. This has come a little bit loose. I'm just going to screw this back in so it's not so flappy. No big deal. Yeah. I put the ring in, the gasket, so it seals nicely, and it has the arrow which tells me where to put it, and I can see it's on properly. It doesn't come off. And I'm going to put the little whistle. This is the weight, and it's on high. At 7:52, I'm starting the lima beans to cook. I'm going to turn the film off now, because all I'm going to do is chop my onions, and I'm going to chop this up and start that in another pan. But I'd rather wait film time and let you see this boil later, so you can learn how to handle it. It's 7:52, and I'm going to turn this off. Now it's 7:58, and you can see this is just now starting to get steamy and boil, and some of the water, of course, is spilling out before it creates the high tension here. It's still loose. Before you know it, though, you won't be able to move this, and you never want to move it because it'll explode at you, and then the steam will start to come through here. As I've told you a few times, I just have a steel bowl, stainless steel bowl that is a mixing bowl. I just like to put it on top so it doesn't spray all over my kitchen. But I just want you to see it for now, and then I'll put this on top. In the meantime, I cut up my quarter cabbage. Comes to about 3 cups. But really don't get stuck on the cups, just to get a general feeling, because if you have cabbage, use it. It's delicious. And here's probably about a cup of onion. I couldn't find my other measuring bowl, so I just stuck it in here. But again, it really doesn't matter. It's all by taste. So I'm just going to put some oil in here. Probably 1 or 2 tablespoons for the whole soup. 1, 2, plain old canola oil. So I can take that away. If you prefer other oil, by all means. I'm just going to throw 2 or 3 of these. These are red cherry chilies. No, they don't really make it hot. I don't know why I like it so much, but I do. I'll just throw another one in. And you see this is starting to get tender. And now, by the way, you can't move this. The pressure has mounted and it's expanded, and you can't. And if You don't want to do it. It's very dangerous. Nothing to play around with. You see some of the steam is coming out, and you want to see it. We want to see it whistle, what they call whistle, about 4 times, and we'll know that lima beans are almost done. It's 8:01, and it looks like it's about to have its first whistle. In the meantime, I'm going to add some thyme, maybe 2 teaspoons. Oh, look, maybe 1 teaspoon. And again, you get used to your own one. And I'm just going to throw these onions in here and stir them up a little bit. So at 8:01 it had the first whistle. I'm going to turn this off again at 8:02 until the next whistle so you can see it. Now it's 8:03 and it just had its second whistle, which is very hot, but you can see it's steaming a lot. And I'm just continuing to fry the onions lightly. Now in the meantime I have this diced petite tomatoes. I always have a lot of tomatoes in my cupboard because when I come home from work I'm hungry. It's the third whistle and it's delicious, and all it has is tomatoes, tomato juice, salt, and citric acid and calcium chloride for preservation. So for a half a cup of these you get 1 gram of protein. Very cool. Of course, we all know tomatoes have a lot of other great features like antioxidants and whatnot. Now, I use a half a cup, a half a can, that's 3. And when I open this up, I just throw the other half into a plastic container in the fridge or the freezer. So I'm going to use this from the fridge. I happen to have it, and I want to use it up. It's a half a cup of half a can of this. So it's 8:04 and we've already had a few whistles from here. I'm going to turn the tape off. Okay. Here it's coming again. So I think that's 4 whistles, and you see how the water's coming out, the steam. This is very, very hot. I'm not getting this real brown. It doesn't have to be for cabbage soup or for cabbage lima bean soup. You do need a lot of salt because you have no salt from anywhere else. So what's going in is what you've added. The same with the oil. What you've put in is what's there. There's no hidden salt. I'll start with a teaspoon for now. And you'll probably change that later when it's close to done. And you see it's getting a little brown, caramelized. And at this point, I'm going to throw in these tomatoes, which were in my fridge. They're petite diced tomatoes. I've had them since a day or 2 or so when I made spaghetti sauce. And I'm just going to throw it in and let them just cook. And all of this is on high. Now this is the 5th or 6th whistle. So this should be nearly done, nice and soft inside. So I'm actually going to turn it off. It's 8:06, and this is going to whistle a few more times, but slowly wear down. And this is very hard. You can't budge it, and you don't want to budge it. It's like a little hot bomb in there, so be careful. So it's still whistling, even though I've turned it off. It's 8:07. This is starting to boil. Now with tomatoes, people say they smell a raw taste. I personally don't have that problem. But if you're sensitive to that, that's why we're cooking it now, so it can get rid of the raw taste, which I couldn't care less about that. I'm going to let this settle down, and I'm going to let this boil up for a few more minutes, and then I'll try and get the lid off of that. Okay, so it's 8:10, 8:11. This is boiling away, and I believe I'm going to turn the fan on. Very lucky I have one. And this is just the onion and tomato mix, and I think we've gotten both nice and cooked up. And I'm just going to throw the cut up cabbage in there, and the cabbage actually will almost steam done. It's steam done, but I'm also going to put about a cup of water in there. Actually, about 2 cups of water, and have it cooking on high. The cabbage will wilt very quickly, and the taste will permeate the sauce, the soup. Now in the meantime, this has been off, and I'm going to actually move it off of that hot burner. Should have done it earlier. But what I want to show you is, and remember this thing is very hot. And you've seen me before kind of we cannot open it. You cannot open it while it's still hot and steamy. As a matter of fact, you can't even force it if you wanted to. And do not try. Can't emphasize that enough. This is boiling. And if it came off for some reason, it would explode and be very hurtful. So I'm just trying to speed it along. If you had a lot of time, you would just let it cool on its own, and then the steam would escape on its own. But since I'm hungry and I want to move on, just kind of letting this out slowly. Sometimes the spoon is just heavy enough to let it come out slowly. And again, you'll get used to your own you'll get used to your own pressure cooker over time. And if you planned your meal a little bit better, you wouldn't have to rush it. But so you can see I've taken off the pressure already. And this actually moves very easily now because the pressure's off. So I can open it without hurting anything. See, there's no pressure. Just doing this with my fingers. real see if 5 whistles or so was enough. And actually, it was not. This is still not cooked. Still quite hard. So now we know with lima beans, you need a lot more time. So I'm going to put this back on. There's plenty of water in there, so I don't have to add water. And I'm going to cook it for maybe 15 minutes more. I'm good. It's 8:15. Now it's 8:21, and I definitely have to turn that off. If I need to pressure cook it some more, I'll do that later. And I turn this down on low. Here you can see the cabbage is really wilted down quite a bit, which is what it does. And it will be on low cooking until the lima beans are done. At 8:22, I'm going to turn the camera off again because this will take a while. From what we saw earlier, they weren't near done, so I've got to give it some more time even though it's on off. And this will be on low. Okay, it's 8:30 now. And this part of the soup is really done nice. It's ready for the lima beans. And I anticipate it just needs a lot more salt. This I have let cool. Move it off of the hot burner, see if it's almost ready. Again, I can't stress enough how dangerous this is, so you really have to get to know your pressure cooker, and if you aren't in a rush, just let the steam come down on its own, the pressure. But since we're a little pressed for time, this is the way I do it. So just to show you, the pressure's out. I'm just going to loosen it with my 2 fingers. If there were any pressure in there, it wouldn't let us. Let's see now. And now you can see the lima beans are nicely cooked. And they will continue to cook in the regular soup. So I think what happened is the ones I didn't have quite enough water. The ones at the bottom with a lot of water are very, very mushy. The ones at the top didn't get quite as mushy, but that's still okay. So 8:33, and these are done. And now I'm just adding water visually. And I'm going to turn it back up on high. And see how much half a bag comes to? And everything's cooked. You just want to make sure the lentils are the way the people who eat them want them. So so it might require some extra time, but certainly it doesn't require hours and hours. Now I'm going to give it a taste. I know I'm going to have to add a lot of salt. And remember, when we taste things, if I taste this spoon may not touch anything else again. It may not touch a plate or anything. I don't want to cross-contaminate it with anything. So I keep this spoon I'm going to put that in the sink, and yeah, it definitely requires a lot of salt. And that's okay, because that's salt for a lot of soup there. I'm going to take another spoon, see if this salt has gotten near where it should be, still on high, cooking away. Remember, if I had touched this, I should not touch this spoon and put it back in again. So just get in the habit of not touching things. Pretty good. I'm going to let it cook a little bit more. And I would say this soup is done. It's 8:36. It's pretty looking. 8:36, and I'm just going to let it cook 10 more minutes and serve it up. So we have a nice lentil, lima bean salad. For some of us, I tend to like lemon juice. I'll put that in at the table as I add salt. Everyone will add their own extra salt at that time. But this can continue to boil. I should turn it down. 8:36, and you have a great wholesome meal here with some whole wheat pocket pitas or bread, and you have a really nice wholesome meal there. Okay, 8:38, 8:39, and I'm just going to show you what it looks like in this bowl. Of course, if you get the chili, whether it's a long one or a cherry one, you don't actually bite into that. So here's the soup, and it's nice and bite-sized throughout. It's already made its own gravy, and the color's beautiful. And we'll just probably have to add a little salt and lime juice for those who want it at the table. So it's 8:40, you have a wholesome meal here that you know exactly how much salt went in, and you know exactly how much oil went in, and it cost you all of, I don't know, $3. So, and you have quite a bit of leftover. Thanks for watching.